January 10th. Can I have a motion on the minutes? Moved, seconded. All those in favor, contrary, carried. Our next committee meeting date will be January 24th in these very chambers. And anything we wish to add to the agenda, we can do so at the end. And the first item that we have is an application by Gurjit Pooney for rezoning at 8691 Heather Street from a single detached RS1B zone to a single detached RS2K zone. And the recommendation of staff is to be introduced and given first reading. And we've got Alex Costin and Wayne Craig. Oh, no. Good try. Changed your name? Okay, welcome. You're on, sir.
Thank you. So I'll just provide a few brief notes about the application. So the proposed rezoning has been requested in order to facilitate a subdivision of one RS1B lot into two single detached RS2K lots. This is a corner property, so one lot will be accessed off of Dolphin Avenue while the other will be accessed off of Heather Street. So this is there is an existing single detached home on the property. However, there is no secondary suite existing. A minimum one-bedroom secondary suite will be required in each of the new dwellings. The applicant will be submitting $25,000 in tree survival security to ensure the retention of 4 city trees. And a submission of a landscape plan will be required, showing minimum 3 trees planted per lot and associated securities. This is in order to ensure that the outdoor space is enhanced and maintained on the property. And I'm happy to answer any questions from the committee.
All right, do we have any questions from committee? Carol?
I'm a little disappointed to see just a one-bedroom suite in each one of these houses. Is there space to build a two-bedroom?
So through the chair to Councillor Day, we worked with the applicant throughout the circulation process of the application to ensure that we were able to obtain the largest suite possible. And yeah, so unfortunately, one bedroom is what we were able to achieve at this time. There is obviously the potential between now and the building permit for that to change. So we could potentially work with the applicant to look at that.
Okay, well, we'll have to work with the applicant then. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All right, I move it be introduced and given first reading. Second, any further discussion? All those in favor? Contrary, carried. All right, done. To council on Monday. All right, the second as an application by Rav Baines for rezoning at 8420 Heather Street from residential single detached RS again 1B zone to residential single detached RS2A zone. And the recommendation is also be introduced and given first reading. And we've got Ashley Kwan and Mr. Craig again. Wow.
Josh,
okay. Ashley, you're on.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have anything to add, but I will highlight a few points. The proposed rezoning is to facilitate the subdivision of one single detached lot to two single detached lots with vehicle accesses from Heather Street. There is an existing single detached home on the property which does not contain a secondary suite. One bedroom secondary suites of a minimum size of 40 square meters are proposed, consistent with the city's affordable housing strategy. 2 new trees will be planted on each lot, one in the front and one in the rear for a total of 4 new trees. Landscape securities are required prior to final rezoning adoption to ensure that replacement trees are planted and maintained. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions? See, Carol?
Same question. Is there any way there's room on these 2 lots to build a 2-bedroom suite as opposed to 1-bedroom suite, which of course would be far more family friendly?
Yes, through the chair to Councillor Day, at this time, we've been able to secure at minimum the bylaw required 1-bedroom secondary suites with a minimum size of 20 square feet. However, the applicant still has the opportunity to choose to increase the size of the secondary suite until the building permit issuance stage.
And I'm pleased to see that the hedge on the south property line is going to be trimmed and retained. That's helpful. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Andy?
Thanks for the report. Same comment on the hedge. I was happy to see that the hedge is able to be retained. I realize it can't be all the time, but most people like the privacy when they get going. Just a question on the suites. Have we ever done any kind of analysis on the suites that have been put in so far in terms of kind of the success, whether it's single bedroom, you know, it could be a mortgage helper, occupancy rates, that kind of thing? I mean, we're doing it, but are they being occupied, number one? And do we have any kind of read on how successful that program has been?
Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, we don't not require any statutory declarations or anything like that for any secondary suites.
Right.
What we do is we secure through the covenants registered on title that a suite be provided. Staff do as much as we can to try to secure that as a 2-bedroom suite, family friendly. Ultimately, those suites cannot be strata titled, so they do maintain as part of the overall principal dwelling. And whether they are rented or used by family is up to the determination ultimately of the homeowner.
Sure.
Okay, yeah, Joe? Mr.
Chairman, if
Urso?
I can just add to that, the suite requirements, the policy has evolved over time. And I think it's fair to say that it's become progressively more onerous. As part of the work that we're doing on the OCP review, we are reviewing all affordable housing, all types of affordable housing, and that will include suites. So we'll endeavour to take a look at some of the issues that were raised. We'll also take a look at the ability to require a larger suite. Unfortunately, with some of these smaller builds, if the suite gets too big, then it negatively impacts the functionality of the principal residence. But we will take a look at it, and that'll be as part of the OCP review. But right now, this application and the earlier one fully meet the policy that's in place.
Sure, and just one last wrap-up comment through the chair. Thank you, that makes sense, actually. And, you know, whether it's 2-bedroom or 1-bedroom is also very helpful for in-laws and students and, you know, family, like you said. So that sounds good. Thank you very much.
Are there any further questions? Then I'd move it be introduced and given first reading. Second, any other discussion? All those in favor? Contrary carried. And then we'll go to council on Monday. Thank you very much. Item number 3 is an application by Matthew Chang, Architect and Company, for an agricultural land reserve non-farm use to allow religious statues and an accessory parking lot within the westerly 110 meters of 8160 number 5 road, and that be forwarded to the Agricultural Land Commission. And we have Mr. D'Souza, Mr. Craig, and Mr. Reese. We got a threesome. All right?
Thank you,
You're
Mr.
on.
Chair. Just a couple of highlights of the application. The purpose of the non-farm use application is to allow religious statues and an accessory parking lot within the western portion of the subject site in support of the existing Thurangu Monastery to the north, which is proposed to be consolidated with the subject site into one lot. The backlands portion of the site has been farmed for at least 5 consecutive years and will continue to be actively farmed, consistent with the number 5 road backlands policy and OCP and area plan designations for the site. The Food Security and Agricultural Advisory Committee reviewed and supported the non-farm use application. In 2017, Council and the ALC approved a similar non-farm use application. However, the approval lapsed and the ALC requires a new non-farm use application in order for the proposal to proceed. Should Council and the ALC approve the subject non-farm use application, a subsequent rezoning application would be required in order to allow the proposal. Happy to answer any questions.
And just a reminder to committee, Councillor Day sent an email to staff, and staff have replied, and we have those answers. If you haven't got it, they came not too long ago. So, questions to staff? Carol?
Thank you for the information that you sent earlier today. So just to be clear, on page PLN 77, it shows the statues that appear to be all exactly the same. Is that along the front, like, property line on number 5 road?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, the statues are located along the north property line of the subject property.
North.
Between the two properties?
Adjacent to the existing temple.
Okay, that's great. And it sounds like the permittable area, as opposed to asphalt, is significant. So they're gonna have less asphalt than I was worried this was all concrete, like stamped concrete, but this is actually on page PLN 78 is stones, right?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, should the non-farm use be approved by the council and the ALC, the rezoning application will detail building materials on the parking lot. Currently, the parking lot is designed to use permeable pavers for pedestrian circulation area as well as parking stalls.
Yeah.
The drive aisle surfaces would be asphalt. We will also be securing a detailed landscape plan as part of the rezoning application should the non-farm use proceed.
Okay, and then I had asked about the back farm road access. I was hoping that we had more, but apparently there's just two, I believe, that, two along, yeah. So this would be three altogether.
Yes, in terms of the coordinated farm access, it is a relatively recent requirement of the backlands policy. It is being secured through all new applications being brought forward.
Okay, that's great. Thank you for all that.
Okay, any other questions? All right, seeing none, I move the recommendation be approved. Oh, I'm sorry.
I pushed the button.
Oh, okay, I don't have it.
It's okay, thank you.
Get away, okay, because, I'm sorry, we're not lit up on the
Oh,
side
oh, that's
here.
too bad.
Okay, sorry,
Oh, no problem.
you're on.
Thank you, Chair. I have a couple of questions, just because, so this is a non-farm use application. And then as you read on, is it brings up the zoning issue and that it would need a rezoning as well. But this is not the rezoning application, this is just the non-farm use, and if that's granted, then there will be a rezoning application? Okay, so when I'm looking at, like PLN 52, I'm looking at the map of the two properties. So 8160 has the monastery and a parking lot and farmland. And then 8140, which is the one that wants the statues, has a parking lot already and the farm barn building, which is going to be retained, and then the farmland. So it's going to need a rezoning application to go from Ag 1 to Assembly just because of the statues? Because what else would be different on here? They're not building a monastery on there.
Through the chair to Councillor Glanders, yes, the front portion of the property is not currently zoned for assembly use. The religious statues and the parking lot are considered an assembly use, which is why they do need to be rezoned.
So the current parking lot is non-conforming to the zoning then? Oh. Okay,
You okay with that?
yeah.
Anything else? All right, I move the recommendation be forwarded to the ELC. Second? Any further discussion? All those in favor? Contrary? Carried. Okay, anything from managers?
Yes, Mr. Chair, just
Okay.
a couple of updates for committee. Staff are currently in the process of reviewing a development permit application for a commercial storage facility at the south end of Number 2 Road. The development permit is required as a small portion of the site is designated as an environmentally sensitive area. The proposed land use is consistent with the existing zoning on the site. In response to the development signage being posted on the property, staff have received a significant portion of, or a significant number of public correspondence regarding this application. The applicant has been advised that we will be requiring them to hold a public information meeting for area residents to learn more about the proposal. A meeting date has not yet been established. However, meeting invitations will be sent to area residents in keeping with standard city notification requirements. We will also be posting information in the local newspaper regarding that meeting, and the details will be noted on the development application signage as well. We will advise mayor and council when this meeting is to occur via memo.
Okay, thank you. Alexa?
Thank you through the chair. Thank you for this information. With this potential rezone or whatever they're doing, development that they're doing, are they required to do some sort of traffic study or have some comments about traffic? Because I know that was one of the comments that came up, but given the nature of the space already that is storage of stuff anyway, would it actually be significantly different, or will that come up in some sort of a traffic study?
Through the chair to Councillor Liu, yes, in terms of the application, a standard review by our transportation department will occur. The review will be coordinated with independent traffic consultant on the applicant's behalf.
Okay, because I think, like if we think of a standard self-storage, like say the one up on the top of 4 Road when you come off the freeway, there's not typically a lot of traffic coming into that. Like if you're coming off the freeway, there's hardly ever traffic coming into that place. But so it'll be interesting to see what the results are with that. Thank you.
Any other questions? Anything else, Mr. Gray?
Yes, I just wanted to
Great.
let committee know that we have received a rezoning application for a large land assembly at the northeast corner of Number 2 Road and Westminster Highway from Celtic Canada. The application is seeking substantially more density than envisioned in the city center area plan. Staff will be advising the applicant that significant revisions are required as there's no policy basis for the additional density being requested at this time.
Anything else?
That is
Anything else from any other staff? Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, through the chair. We are revising our OCP, and I'm wondering if there's opportunities, I was specifically hoping for opportunities to look at our arterial road strategy. So, what if this proposal, seeing as, 2 in Westminster is not really near any stores or anything, is it? I was thinking 1 in Westminster. But anyways, regardless, it is actually there's near some stuff. So if we were looking at densifying our community hubs with allowing, apartments or something instead of just townhouses, then is there an opportunity for us to look at that proposal before you make all these changes and then we end up saying, well, we wish you had done more density?
Through the chair to Councillor Glanders, this site is contained within the city center area plan, so it is contained within a rather recent portion of the OCP. Having said that, there are existing policies which do support additional residential density, specifically rental density and affordable density. So those provisions are available to the applicant. Currently, what is being proposed is strictly strata condo development.
Oh, okay.
Should council resolve to change the city center area plan as part of the overall OCP review, there would be opportunities to pursue redevelopment in keeping with those policy changes.
Okay.
Okay, Joe?
I don't want to be too subtle about this. We have a very precise, carefully considered neighbourhood plan in this area. And this property, it was a conscious decision to have a certain level of density on this property. And although, as Wayne mentioned, we will send a signal that if they're willing to consider real affordable housing and real affordable rental housing, we will talk to them. This is really a situation where a developer, after being told multiple times at multiple levels that the density was not supportable, decided to go ahead anyway and buy the property. So this is like a blatant disregard of the city approved plans. And we will certainly send the signal, and I think that Spires Gate is a good example, where you have new policy that provided that all of the extra density is rental, and particularly affordable rental, then we'll look at it.
Yeah.
But when you want to double the density and just crank out a bunch more condos, that's not on the table at the staff level, and we would need a different direction from council.
Yes, perfect. Thank you so much.
Carol?
Thank you. We've had 2 applications today for little houses with suites. And so 4 more 1-bedroom suites will be built. And we're seeing this pretty much every time we have a planning committee meeting. My question is, what is the follow-up to make sure that these suites are rented long-term and not short-term to visitors?
I'll tackle that one.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Well, the reality is that there isn't.
You don't have to rent.
We've got to recognise this form of housing for what it is, and that is a suite within a home. The policy requires, and Wayne will correct me if I get it wrong, the policy requires a suite, or do they still have cash in lieu? Or cash in lieu options, but it was a very sensitive issue that I can recall years ago when we introduced any requirement for suites, and they had a very low rate. They paid $1 a square foot, which was a giveaway really, or they could build a suite. So this has never been the same animal, the same type of housing unit that a Lima unit is, with it has separate title, it can't be easily traded, it has a housing agreement on it. This is really just a home within a home with a single tenure. And so, to answer your question, there isn't much we can do. But one of the things that we'll put on the table for you to consider as a council as part of the OCP review is whether you want to change some of those rules. And, because there will be some options, but to date, really, once the suite is built, it's up to the owner whether they rent it, leave it vacant, put their family in it, or put their storage in it, frankly.
Originally, when we brought this in historically, it was to be a mortgage helper.
Yeah.
We were one of the first communities to put secondary suites in the Lower Mainland. And that's what we've got, and we're still following on it. There, as Mr. Ersick says, following up, there's no compulsion to make anybody rent it out or take a student or whatever. The other thing is a major issue, is there's no external access to this suite. It is within the house, and I think we really got to be very careful what we're really asking. It's not like at 7th and Trafalgar where you got a big house and you cut the wall out and put a door in and you got the basement suite and people have their own access in Vancouver. We don't have that. They're coming through the same door, all the folks that live there. Is there no
I'm sorry.
door in it?
Through the chair, these suites will have exterior doors.
In this case? Okay, I apologize.
All of them do, actually. I've checked out a bunch of them, and there is actually an exterior door, usually at the side.
Yes, yeah, okay, all right. And they are now self-contained and totally barred off now, other than what we used to do at Woodward's Road, okay. But they are mortgage helpers. That's how we treat it. Do we want to change that?
I just wonder if there shouldn't be a connection between planning and permitting and bylaws. So we have 9 more, 12 more, 50 more of these suites, just so they know to keep their eyes open if it does turn into a short-term rental.
Through the chair to Councillor Day, yes, through the building, once the rezoning is approved, there is a legal agreement registered on title saying that the building permit must include the suite. So we do ensure the suite is constructed. A number of years ago, council also changed policy to allow secondary suites to have distinct addresses for emergency response perspectives. So we do work with our other departments, including bylaws, to ensure that there is recognition that these suites exist throughout the city.
Don't get me wrong, I'm happy we're building them. I just want to make sure we're making the best use of them. So, thank you.
Any other comments, any other questions, any other things of staff? Seeing none, motion to adjourn. We're adjourned.